Hi everyone, I'm Scorch Inéz, all right? I'm a sober coach, I'm a recovering addict and recovering alcoholic and just basically all of those things combined. That's what Scorch Inéz is, okay? I'm gonna talk to you guys about being a young parent. You know, I had my daughter at 22 years old. I didn't realize what being a parent was gonna be about. I was very excited to have her. And when I realized I was gonna be a parent, I remember I just like lit up. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a dad. But I had no fucking idea what really being a dad was about. I remember I picked up the phone and I called one of my aunts. I'm not gonna say her name because I don't want to just throw her under the bus. And I said, hey aunt, so and so, guess what? I'm gonna be a dad. And I remember looking at my phone to see if the thing was still on because I didn't hear nothing come back. And it was dead silence. And now that I think about it, it was like that silence was because they were like, you just fucked up, man. But the blessing is the child, right? It really is. And my daughter's been a complete blessing to me. And any parent out there who knows, who has a child who isn't screaming at them and telling them to sit down and shut up, understands that being a parent is leading by example and taking all the things that we know, all the things we've learned, all the misfortunes in our life, and making it funneled down to them so that they don't have to go through these things and we don't have to yell at them or mistreat them. You know, being a parent is a big responsibility, one that has grown with me and that I really enjoy, okay? But being a young parent while you're trying to adapt into a world that doesn't, no one ever fits in. I watch a lot of young parents say, it's 1 o'clock somewhere. Oh, and they go to PTAs and they got a cocktail in their hand, and they go out to eat and they have a cocktail in their hand, or Facebook in front of them and they're scrolling, and that's not being a parent. And I'm not judging anybody. You know, if you have pressure and that's what it takes for you to get through the day, you know what? Whatever it takes to keep your sanity is absolutely the truth. So I want to know that everyone know this right now. I don't judge people. I don't want anyone to feel judged by that. If that's what you do, I'm just saying this is my perspective of what I can't do in order for me to be a parent. So being a very young parent and having addiction is something that I lead by example now in my life for all the other young parents who might be, you know, filling the shoes of being a parent, to understand that that is a life that you'll never really be able to master. Okay, and there are some people who are very balanced. They have their time set out for their kid, they have their time set out for their adult time, and lots of respect to you guys. But this is my story again, and that's what did not work for me. Okay, as a young parent, I was hit with a very huge reality, and 15 months into my daughter's life, Hurricane Katrina hit. And we were forced to evacuate the city of New Orleans that I call home again. I'm back to New Orleans because it was such a disaster that we had to relocate. And being a very young person, you're very vulnerable. We left New Orleans to go back to South Florida in the middle of the opioid crisis. Okay, and I went back there. I brought my young family there. You know, we're happy to be back home, saw all of our old friends, but did not realize what I was walking into. Was not able to see that far. And the opioid addiction took me in South Florida to the point where I overdosed. And literally, I shouldn't be here right now, but no, literally, I should be here right now because that wasn't my time to go, but I had lots of chances in that, going that direction. So I started doing roxycodones, which were pretty much everywhere. I had gotten one from a friend that I worked with, and I was working in a restaurant. It's a very high-paced environment, and it's a lot of energy going on. So anything you can get to kind of like take away that edge of working and running around and making it a fun environment is something that most people do. Most people drink on the job. They either do a little cocaine on the job or they do prescription medication. So I had my first little piece of prescription pain pills. It was half of a 30 milligram pill. I ate it and I drank a little bit of wine with it, and oh my God, it happened. I was an addict. Just like that. It was one of the best feelings I ever had. With all the pressure of going from one place to another, to finally getting a job, and like my young family at home. It made me feel great. I had no fucking idea what I was about to get myself into. So of course, like, it's like, you know, when you think of opioid addiction, it's like putting someone at the top of a staircase and saying, "Hey man, if you fall, I've got your back," and you just pushed them down. And or not just a staircase with spikes all over it. How about that? Just add a little element of danger. But and just pushing them down from the top, they have no chance. They're gonna get hit with the spikes, right? And that's kind of how I describe opioid addiction. So it went on for about 2 years, where I went from taking 1/2 to taking 13 pills a day, prescribed by a doctor. And I went through all kinds of stuff to get these pills. I remember at one point I was going to a pediatrician's office to get these oxycodons, and they were giving me a bunch of other stuff. Oxycodons, Xanax, Valium, methadone, and Viagra. So you get everything, you know, you get the oxycodone for, you know, your pain. Then you get the Xanax for the anxiety. You get the Valium so you can sleep. You get the methadone, so when you don't take the Oxycontin, the methadone kind of like works as an like a reversal of the opioid, so you can get a little break. And then of course the Viagra, so when you wanted to have fun, you could, because all that stuff makes the male body, the human body not work. I'll just say it like that. So I was a complete fucking mess. Those were the days that I didn't believe that I was ever going to make it back. You know, I literally sat there some days and I would say, man, if I could only get through 3 days of not taking these pills, I would go 4 days. I would go 5 days, you know, but I prayed to get through 3 days. So I did, and I'd be completely dope sick is what they call it. You get sick from the pills, not ingesting them. And at that point I was smoking them, snorting them, and ingesting them. So there's a little bit of like what you learn from the streets. So, and you couldn't go a day without doing it. You just could not go a day without doing it. So it was like very well part of my life. And like I said, I'll go 3 days, cold sweating, throwing up, shitting in my pants. And you know, it's like, looking back at it, these pharma companies make this stuff. They synthetically engineer it so that you are mentally addicted to this stuff. Okay? So you don't stand a chance. There is no coming back from this stuff once you ingest one. It's not designed for you to try a little bit and to stop taking it. And it was a complete nightmare. The whole thing was, you know, and my family was in between it. People who knew me were just like, "You're changing, I don't know what's going on." They couldn't put their finger on it. And I was falling asleep in public. I was doing so much Xanax. And it was just a combination of things that I caught myself in a time where I felt like I needed something else to heighten my life and enlighten it a little bit. Not knowing that those mechanisms were built into me already, that I had all that stuff naturally. But I went this direction because it was obviously the direction I had to go. So it took a very long time for me to get off of it. By the end of my addiction, which there were so many different times where I was in and out, but when I finally gave it the kick, it was all cold turkey. You know, I didn't rely on anything. I just did it because I knew that there was something else out there for me. But I'm not going to say I was as strong as I am now, but I just did it, okay? And I just gave it up. I kicked it. It was absolutely a very tough, hard, very hard thing to kick. It took me about 40 days. And shout out to my sister Danielle, who kind of really took me under her wing at that time, and to all my sisters in the family who was there for me. My sister Kathy, my sister Megan, all those people that were there for me to allow me to just go through whatever I needed to go through at the time. Shout out to those people who were there. but it wasn't something that anyone really understood, but it was fucking hell. Okay, so don't recommend it if you ever tried it. Going to try it or thinking about trying it. If you got a spirit ball laying around the house and you're like, you know what, this weekend I want to go and knock a couple pills. Don't do it. It's just a waste of fucking time. Of course, you know, one thing led to the other, and the tolerance that I built up for opioids slowly went on to the next thing, went on to alcoholism. So, you know, I kicked the whole pill thing. That was a chapter, and right around the corner was alcohol. And alcohol was just a ride that it took me and it kept on taking me. It was probably the worst drug. It is the worst drug I've ever done in my whole life. Alcohol. But alcoholism is interesting because socially it's a little more accepted than the opioids, you know, and smoking pot and things like that. So alcohol addiction is everywhere. You know, as a young kid, most people start drinking very young. I started drinking at age 8. I had my first glass of champagne at age 8. And I threw it back and I was like, oh man, to the good life, you know. Every time after that, every time I heard a bottle pop, I was like, where's my glass? I'm gonna get a bottle. So there's like that, just how it happens. You know, when you have an addictive personality, it doesn't take very much. And just like that, a new star is born. You know, so you're an alcoholic. Over time, I definitely took alcoholism to a point just from those tolerances that I got from being addicted to Oxycontin and mixing those drugs with cocaine and all kinds of crazy stuff that I didn't realize that someone as good as myself could get caught into, okay? So addiction is a very serious thing. It's a disease, all right? I didn't wake up saying, I'm just gonna be the best at doing drugs. I'm gonna really work hard at it. I'm gonna be the best ever lived. It's part of a disease, okay? It's like once you try it, you cannot stop. That actual feeling that you get the first time you do it is one that you'll always try to get. You'll be chasing it forever. So it is a disease, all right? And people out there are judging people for it, or if you know someone who's struggling with it, don't judge these people. This is legit. This is like cancer or liver disease. It's a disease. It's real. Okay, I'm a victim of a disease that has taken a big part of my life. So alcohol abuse is something, again, it's like you don't really think that it's doing much for you because you line up shots at a bar, you drink with someone all night long, you go to a nightclub, it's everywhere. So it's a little more socially accepted, but to me it was the worst drug that I ever did. Alcohol was absolutely the worst. And you know, that went on for a long time too, and I'll touch on that in some other videos, but just kind of like a little brief understanding of what it is that I am and where I've come from and what I had to beat, and you know, a little brief, little like how to figure out what it is that's going on with me, of course, you know, and who Scorch Inéz is, you know, and where I came from to where I'm at now. You know, before I quit drinking, I was 75 pounds heavier. I had a beard down to here. Okay, I looked like a fucking homeless person on the street. I want to show you guys because it's something I never forget. You know, I never ever forget this. Where I came from. You see that? That's me. That's the old person that I had to get rid of, you know? I had to. And it was an eye-opener for what life really is. Getting clean takes commitment. That's the bottom line. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes you knowing what it is you want. See, I didn't just quit drinking. I didn't just quit doing drugs. What I did was I put my dreams, the same dreams where drugs were, where nothing could come between it. Now my dreams are there and nothing comes between me and my dreams. You see what I'm saying? Nothing comes between me and my family. Nothing comes between me and my work. Nothing comes between me and my health. nothing comes between me and my dreams. So I didn't just quit drinking, because people think of when you quit drinking that all you do is quit drinking and then, oh, it's done, the hard work is done. No, it's not. You still got to get up, you still got to change your socks, you still got to change your underwear, you got to take a shower, you got to brush your teeth, you got to take good care. So it's more to it. There's a lot of things that you have to do to go to the places that you want. So I didn't say that all I did was just, no, I put my dreams in the front, and now nothing comes between it. So if anything gets in the way of me and my dreams, it's got to go. So alcohol was in the way of my dreams, it had to go. Pot was in the way of my dreams, it had to go. Opioids, gone. Sugar, gone. Caffeine, gone. Nicotine, gone. All those things are gone out of my life because they get in the way of me and my dreams. So think about that. You don't have to be an addict to use that concept in your life. Again, this is about anything, okay? This could be anything you're going through. If you have your dreams and what's in the way of it, it's got to go. How does Beyonce say? To the left, to the left. It's got to go. It's got to get out of your life. And so you got to be very committed. I'm not saying to get rid of all your friends. I love my friends. I have friends who I used to drink with, who I used to do drugs with, that are still my friends. You know what? They didn't put me in the position that I'm in, that I was in. I put myself in that position. I took full responsibility for it. But now when I have very important things to take care of, obviously I can't be hanging out with my friends. So that was a priority thing. Okay? You don't have to drop all your friends. You don't have to drop going out to where you go. As a matter of fact, before I was going to my AA meetings when I first got sober, I used to go to the bar that I used to go get shit-faced in just to buy time before I went to my AA meeting, because it was like home to me. So, I live in the French Quarter, New Orleans, where I raised my daughter. French Quarter, New Orleans, shout out to you. It's the toughest places on earth to live as an alcoholic. It really is. There's a bar on every single corner. In between the corners, there's a liquor store on every corner. There's people giving you drinks. You lose your job, they're like, let's go out and get a drink. It is a shithole if you're an alcoholic. And I'm still living here, but there's something about it. There's a connection there with sobriety and living in a place that you defeat the big monster, basically. Like, you defeated your nemesis. So that's kind of why I'm still hanging in here and building the sober community here in New Orleans. But, you have to be very committed. And that's really how I want to finish this video up, is committed to what it is you want. Do it for yourself. There's no back and forth when you make this decision. If you are an addict, if you're struggling, do it with intent. Do it with what it is you want. Because I promise you, it's going to be a way better experience. You don't do it thinking, oh, I'm going to try this out for a little bit and I'm going to go back. No. It's never going to work. You're going to give up in a freaking hour or two. You do this stuff with commitment, with a lot of passion, and you're gonna get everything is gonna come your way. All right, everything is gonna come your way. That's just a few things for you guys to think about today. Again, it's Scorch Inéz here. Scorch, of course, represents being fried to a fucking pulp, crisp, from all of our social ties and all of the things that we learned as a little kid. Scorch Inéz is the gift, the little girl. Scorch Inéz. Signing out, guys. Again, if you're struggling from alcohol, reach out. It's Next Sober Life. We've got all kinds of good things to help people out with. And there's someone close to you that can also, some community close to you. Also, AA is amazing. NA is amazing. These are all things that I use. There's a lot of help out there. Reach out to somebody today. Write it on a piece of paper. Text somebody. If you're an alcoholic and you don't see yourself getting out of it, do not try to do this alone. Okay? There's so many communities out there. Again, Scorch Inéz signing off. If you're not struggling with alcohol, you have balance, highest level of respect to you. Happy Friday, guys. Enjoy your weekend.